thank you to all the committee members for your consideration today and your commitment to this important task. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Judge Vaca. Judge Abelson, let me start my 5 minutes of questioning with noting the fact that you were chair of the ABA Working Group on Building Public Trust in American Justice. Is that correct?
I was. I no longer am, but I was the chair of that group.
It seems to me in my legal lifetime, political lifetime, whatever it is, the two most significant changes in law enforcement that I can think of were DNA evidence and videotaping of the scene. It has changed the national conversation, first on culpability with the DNA evidence, as well as with the video evidence. You did some research in this area as part of that working group. Could you like to comment on that?
Sure. Thank you, Senator. In my capacity as a member of that working group, we did do a project a number of years ago relating to police body cameras, not specifically addressing the question of whether departments should adopt them, but more thinking through and collecting thoughts in the law enforcement and justice community about considerations regarding policies that departments, if they were to be using police body cameras, body-worn cameras, to think about in adopting those policies.
Now that we have several years of experience, on-the-job experience with this, and some controversial evidence produced by it, do you think we need to reassess that, the involvement of that videotape in law enforcement?
So, Senator, as a sitting magistrate judge now, and of course, if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed as a district judge, body-worn camera evidence comes into evidence in many cases. Questions of policy would not be for me to make as a judge. Those would be for policy-making bodies, whether federal or at the state level.
Fair enough. Judge Saporita, you talked about your private practice. How many years were you in private practice?
I was in private practice for just over 29 years.
So you had to make decisions almost on a daily basis whether you would accept the client or not.
Correct.
What were your standards?
Well, they were really the standards that were established by my late father, and his goal was to help people, and it depended upon the level of help that they needed, and generally speaking, from the perspective of help, it may have included people that had means and people who had no means, and it depended really upon their level of help.
What about the issue of popularity or public acceptance when choosing a client? What was your standard?
We really had no standard on popularity or unpopularity. Our standard was to help our clients through various legal dilemmas and to make rough waters smooth for them throughout the course of our representation. And so we weren't looking for limelight. We were not publicity seekers. We just practiced law and provided what we felt was the best representation for our clients.
Judge Vaca, your background as a prosecutor includes a lot of cases. Do you recall roughly how many cases you were involved in as a prosecutor?
Senator, I was a prosecutor for 13 years. I prosecuted thousands of cases, and as you discussed earlier, reading the statement from Senator Schumer's office, I prosecuted child abuse cases for 10 years of the 13 years I was a prosecutor. And so hundreds of child abuse cases, most of them violent felonies.
Can a criminal defendant feel like they're going to get a fair treatment from you as a judge, and if you're fortunate enough to be approved for this position?
Yes, absolutely, Senator. This is my 4th year as a judge, and I listen to both sides in every case. I give fair consideration to the arguments that they make and apply the applicable law. And as I mentioned earlier, I grew up with a criminal defense attorney in my family. My father was a criminal defense attorney since I was young. And I grew up with this balance. And so I was a prosecutor. I have my father's influence. And as a judge, I make a commitment of mine to make decisions independent and based on the law.
Thank you. Senator Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to each of you. Judge Sepper